When you first got boots on the ground there, what was that experience like for you mentally? What was going through your mind?
I was, I hated the Iraqis, right? I was brainwashed like any other person that watched any Moto video, right? The die motherfucker die videos. So I was definitely there to fight. You know, I was super eager about that. The army unit that was there was absolutely fucking battered. We replaced the 101st Airborne, I believe it was 101st or might have been the 82nd. Either way, in an Air Force unit. And these guys were fucking beat. They had way more stuff than we did, so we started to pillage their shit to like outfit our vehicles because we just had soft skin Humvees and the Mercedes IFABs, the Jeeps. And I remember probably about a week in, our leadership from the sniper team or sniper platoon I was in did a left seat, right seat with the scouts from the army, their sniper guys, and dude, fucking they're out there doing this like weekly district center meeting for the elders, and they all get like fucking shot up and grenaded, and so like half my platoon comes back fucked up already, and they're sitting out the rest of the deployment, you know, wow, with like holes in their asses and shit. And I was like, damn, this is real. And then you know, not even going out the wire yet, having to like write death letters and just this mindset of like, hey, we're going on this day, and you're like, fuck, you know, thank God I never had to go off of like one of those ramps on like Normandy Beach, right? Which doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. But like I felt that type of feeling of potentially of like, you know, sitting in the back of a 7-ton and it's quiet outside and you smell like JP8 diesel fuel and you're like quiet as shit and you're rolling to an objective, and then we all get off and dude, next thing you know, we're like literally storing up a hornet's nest. It's like the Black Hawk Down scenario. I'm not going to compare the two, but using that phrase of like, you're going in quiet, you're going in calm, the city is dead as shit, and the next thing you know, literally all hell is breaking loose. And it was like that my entire deployment, which was absolutely insane, to the point where like you're just, I tell people like, we would have combat replacements all the time. And it was like watching Band of Brothers. Band of Brothers was out right before this deployment, and we literally stopped making friends with these fucking dudes because they were like on the death list. Like, you're a combat replacement, like, please stay the fuck away from me. Like, you're going to fucking die. And it sucked, but it was just how it worked. It was crazy, and it was a lot of violence and a lot of pain. Fallujah was, from all my deployments, and all my deployments were combat deployments, heavily engaged deployments, Fallujah still is the cherry on top. It was the most next level fighting I've ever been part of.
Do you remember the very first like legit gunfight you got into there?
Yeah, it was actually the day one in the city. It was March 26, 2004. I remember that day because it's a very important day to me. We're in the city, and our whole mission was to, back in the day, we were actually the eyes and ears of the battalion. So what that means is we would patrol up and we would report back to our commanders so they could paint the battlefield picture. We're using like phase lines and all this other type of shit, GRGs, to navigate. And we kept them pushing up further and further into the city, setting up overwatch positions to report back. And I remember we set up in this 2-story house, and you know, I saw there was like some shooting, but I wasn't involved yet at this point. We stopped at a couple homes before this house, and my guys were shooting, and I was holding rear security at the door that we walked up to, so I wasn't engaged. I was like, come on, guys, I want to shoot, you know, and I should have just shut the fuck up. And so a few houses down, about mid-afternoon, we roll up into a 2-story house, and I'm setting up overwatch, and I'm by a window checking it out, and my radar operators on the other side, and my 2 snipers, the school terrain snipers that have a 9mm Beretta and a bolt gun in an urban environment, which is fucking crazy, especially for what we were dealing with. They're like in the back of the room setting up like observations, and you know, shortly after afternoon prayer happened, that's when we got this like pretty gnarly gunfight across the street. And March 26th is an important day to me because that's the day I got shot right in the fucking helmet, and just like really put life and that deployment into perspective. And this is day one in the city for me. This is day one in the city for everybody. And it definitely set the tone of like what's to come for that whole deployment.
What were the circumstances where that happened?
In regards to
getting shot in the helmet?
So basically, you know, I spotted these 2 guys across the street on this rooftop, and they had guns. My buddy and I, we start opening up on these dudes, and now we're just exchanging fire. They're shooting, blasting machine gun into our window. I'm shooting an M16 fucking Canon, like
Old school shit.
Yeah, old school, like the fucking 20-inch barrel, way better than a musket. So I'm grateful. Yeah. And
BFA on the end of it.
Yeah, BFA saying butta jam, doing exactly what I'm told to do and instructed. And long story short, I go to reload on the left side of the window, and as I load up and I come back into the window to shoot, that's when literally it was lights out for me. And I just remember this like loud, like life just left my body, and that's exactly what happened. I had this like gnarly out of body experience where I could like see everything taking place. My body, the gun shooting across the street, the house that I was in, I saw everything. And
did you go unconscious?
Yeah, I was definitely out. I don't have a timer for the whole evolution. If I had a guess, it'd probably like maybe 3 to 5 minutes potentially, just based off the time and distance from when the shooting started and when we actually exfilled from this house. And when I came back to my body, there was like this like bright light and like just zipped me back into my body. And I remember waking up convulsing. I was getting kicked in the shoulder by my assistant team leader, Brian. He's like, dude, I thought you were fucking dead, but they didn't see any blood. So they're even more blown away that I just wasn't moving on the ground.
I thought you were playing hurt.
I don't know what they were thinking, but I was definitely hurting. Yeah. And I was my body lay next to the radio. They're like, dude, get on the fucking radio and call for support. And that's what I did. I just had like the most like fucked up communication, trying to like call for support. Obviously nothing's working.
As you were coming to, was it like physically, was it like being drunk, or like was it real slow going at first, or when that light came back in, were you just like fucking snapped out of it, adrenaline pumping, and you're right back at it?
No, I was definitely dazed and confused. I was super like lethargic. I probably had 20-30% situational awareness. I was very choppy. I was crying and laughing at the same time. So I was an emotional wreck. So even getting on my transmission was like every other word I was saying break, and I remember when we decided to like break down from that house and like move to the bottom floor to get better communication and get off this like place just getting pelted with the machine gun fire. I was definitely like a lot of tunnel vision, a lot of in there, not in there, but I knew I needed some help, but at the time I didn't know what that was.
Yeah. Did it change your resolve at all? Either heightened it or lessened it? Like, did it make you question what you were doing there, why you were there, if you wanted to be there? Was there any of that kind of self-doubt?
I didn't have any self-doubt. I just started to show my body more. I realized we were in a shit ton of gunfights that deployment, and I realized if I only show my head, I'm only giving them my head to shoot at. So I decided to like show more of my body and like increase my chances of like not getting fucking dinged in the head again. I was really scared though. I had the same helmet, which would not stop another bullet at this point, that I was still wearing in the city. And the only reason I got another helmet was like as Marines got injured and killed, I was able to take their gear. And that part alarmed me because I'm like, this is fucking real. And I was a point man on my sniper team, so I'm still on point. I'm still doing these like I'm the first guy missions, and it was just a reality check of like, fuck, dude, like life can come quick as shit, and I'm 18 years old. I've never done anything, there's so much life ahead. And that was really it. But like being scared about the mission or like not wanting to participate, that never crossed my mind. I was committed to the cause, and the cause was just like my team, not really go America or anything else or go war. It was just doing my job, and I was taking care of my guys.
Was the operational tempo at that point or that time during that deployment, was it going out every day?
So we actually, after this particular incident on March 26, we actually came back for about a week and a half, 2 weeks to regroup, and because there was really no plan established. And the whole beginning of Fallujah was just kind of like strong arming the whole operation by pushing in and like doing this like blitzkrieg type of push, and that turned to be not very effective. And so our next phase line, our next game plan was actually go in and take strongholds. And at this point in time, my battalion 2-1 became the anvil. So we were the strong point that we weren't moving. We occupied homes and buildings inside the city of Fallujah, and all the other adjacent battalions and units were pushing the insurgents towards us. So we really became the magnet for like everything happening in the city. I mean, granted, there was like a lot of chaos going on everywhere else, but everything was being funneled towards us. So the rest of that deployment till towards the very end we were stationary in a building, and what that looked like every day was you just rotating your duties you're on fire watch, or you're sleeping, or you're filling sandbags, or doing some type of shit like that. I think every other week or every week you would get a chance to go back home and like take a shit in a porta john or something like that, and you'd come back out like the next day. So it was kind of like just like you're in like a fire base, and you're just fighting every fucking day and dealing with that type of stuff.
And how long was that deployment?
7 months.
7 months. The group that you were there with, that you deployed with, about how many guys was that?
This is where I get screwed up. I don't really remember a lot of numbers.
Ballpark?
I'd be lying, maybe 300 people.
Did you guys lose a number of guys?
We definitely did lose a number of guys. The exact numbers, not sure. Like I said, with memory loss, numbers always fuck me up. Yeah. But we lost enough to remember that like this is it, man. This is the real fucking deal. And guys back then were just built different. These dudes were, I mean, real leadership and mentorship, things that the military lacks today, in my personal opinion.
I'm right there with you.
These were guys that were like E4s for 4 years, and they weren't turds. You know, if you're an E4 for 4 years now, you could be a fucking turd. But back then, things were just different, and these dudes they were just true, real leaders. They're teaching you how to use everything. They weren't that do as I say, not as I do. And you know, when we started losing a lot of those guys, and especially when we lost a squad one day from a V-bid. It hit a 7-ton and just fucking killed everybody. And to see a lot of my senior guys, and all these senior guys were all OIF-1 deployment guys. And just to see these men that we all looked up to just fucking broken and sad from losing their close friends. And, you know, because OIF-1, from what I hear, I did not participate in OIF-1, but it was like hit and miss. There was some engagement, there was some combat, but it was nothing like Fallujah. Fallujah it's like driving a fucking supercar for your first time, right? Like you cannot compare it to your Mazda Miata. It's night and day. And, it was really intense, but those characters of men back then was just, they do not make them like that anymore.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's been a depressing observation to kind of be past that point in my age and on the sidelines watching what's happening and taking place in the military. It's fucking depressing and devastating. Do you recall the first time, whether it's during that deployment or subsequent ones, where like you knew for 100% sure, like I just took this guy's life? Do you remember the first time you felt that?
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that, both in from like a timeline standpoint, story-wise, but also from an emotional standpoint?
Yeah. Well, all right. So a lot of fucked up things back then. There was a lot of human shields. And there was a lot of people being used to spot us. And at times, those are the only people that were fucking shown that you had access to. And I remember my first engagement was with a fucking bomb. I lazed this bomb on this building, and we were getting just fucking murked from this place all day, across this bridge, actually, excuse me. And when this fucking bomb dropped, and I knew there was people in there. I mean, we saw them, we're shooting at them, they're shooting at us. I'm seeing fucking, you know, civilian casualties or civilian people used as fucking human shields here. And this bomb dropped, and I was like, fuck, that's real. And I realized that, like, dude, this is fucking disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. Because even my first fight when I got shot in the helmet, like, I don't know if I kill these dudes or not. Like, we're literally trying to like squeeze in some 5.56 in between a fucking machine gun, right? Like, I'm literally just trying to put down suppressive fire so my guys can get out of this room. And but my first up close and personal, it was beside this bomb, it was this fucking dude. I remember there was this dude that was he lived in the village. We spotted him, and he was with his family, and he was by the mosque, and the mosque was off limit back in the day. And this dude wearing the same fucking clothes and the same pattern of life, and we were just observing him the whole time. And I remember him passing off his son to his wife, and then as soon as I walked away, I dropped him, and I was fucking empty inside. And it was almost like, did I have to do that? And then I'm like, wait a second. We're just being shot at all fucking day. This is like the dumbest game ever. But I realized that that's what war is. It's fucking stupid. And but at the time, my job was to fight terrorists, fight these bad people. And there was a lot of people in Fallujah that, before we got there, they were dropping pamphlets from the sky with C-130s, telling people like, hey, get the fuck out of here. There's a curfew. And that's what made Fallujah really weird. It was like really not a free for all as in like there was no like order, but a free for all as in like, dude, it was like a Call of Duty game where like, if you see them, they're there to kill you and vice versa. It's like, who can kill each other first? And seeing death in that capacity, and then seeing death and carnage with the capacity of air support and very up close air support, it was really crazy to be 18 years old and to experience all this. I mean, looking back, I'm like, oh shit, I wonder where all my fucking trauma came from. I'm sure I had plenty prior to the military, but I was very empty on that deployment, and I was definitely empty for the following deployments in my life. And
when you took that guy's life, did you see the family's reaction after it happened, or was it just all too quick to?
It was honestly just tunnel vision for me. It was almost like, what did I fucking do? And it was because it's easy. It's easy to pull a trigger, and I didn't really know that because I haven't been intimate like that up until this point. And the intimacy of that, it was almost like, why? And it was not hard for me to process, but it was weird on how I was justifying that emotion. I didn't really know how to kind of categorize what I was feeling or experiencing. I definitely wasn't scared to fight. I've shot my gun multiple times up to this point, but I'm scouting this guy. I'm following him. I'm seeing him and he's not seeing me. This isn't like I walking through a fucking door and I like pop a guy that's trying to kill me. This is a dude that's fucking living his life, getting ready to go do his good bad guy work for the rest of the day, and he has no idea that I have a fucking crosser on him. And so it was weird. Not sad, but it's just weird, empty, as in like I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel bad. It just blank.
Because that was the first time that you experienced that particular emotion as it relates to taking somebody's life. Has that particular scenario come back up in the ibogaine and psychedelic stuff? Have you relived that at all?
Honestly, I have never, through any of my psychedelic experiences, relived any combat related stuff. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, the last experience I just did was ibogaine and the 5-MeO DMT with the vets, and I try to tell people, like, I was thinking, I realized that I never really healed or processed any of my trauma. I mean, I definitely cried a lot in the military. I definitely was sad a lot, definitely had a lot of hurt emotions and feelings and suppressed shit. But when I did this 5-MeO, there was not a pinpointed trauma. I just knew I had trauma unprocessed. If I just literally felt this ball of trauma leave me, like this, like not one thing. And that's why I try to tell people, like, when you have PTSD or stress in your life, asshole vets are the worst. They're like, oh, you didn't go to combat, you don't have PTSD. Like, bitch, you can get PTSD by seeing something violent. You can get PTSD by experiencing something verbally. Like, it doesn't have to, trauma, it doesn't matter how you broke your arm. The fact is you broke your fucking arm and that sucks. But too many people want to compare how you can rate and how you cannot rate these things. And
it's a dick measuring contest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even knowing that, I was subconsciously thinking and hoping that I'm going to be able to process something specifically, not realizing that it doesn't matter what the fucking trauma is. The thing is, I had some shit that I didn't even know about, and not knowing what it is, it just left me as this neutral, like, anchor of my life. And, I've definitely cried a lot before all this shit happened, when it came to like, looking at old pictures, or I'd watch some, the first time I saw that Kill House video of Fallujah, on April 26, 2004, we were being overran, essentially. Not essentially, we were fucking overran. And
you saw the video from it?
Yeah, we had reporters with us. And I stumbled across this video like a few years ago on YouTube. It was like probably like a 5-minute clip, and the video is just in the corner of a room. Just all you hear is just like yelling, screaming, and just fucking machine guns and just guns and explosions happening, and like boots and Marines walking by and people getting carried out on stretchers, and or not stretchers, but doors, because we didn't have stretchers and shit back then. And I remember that day very well because that was probably the scariest day of my life. And I remember I'm a MARSOC guy now. I'm on my like 5th deployment or something like that. And I see this video and I just start fucking crying. And I wasn't really sure why or how or what was going on, but I always went back to Fallujah. So, you know, the more I talked about it, the more I realized that I had a lot of issues from that deployment. I mean, fuck, I came back from that deployment on base to go to sniper school. And I remember it was like a Wednesday night, and it was like my first night back home. But it's like, I think on Wednesdays or Thursdays, the other base does artillery, like illumination missions on Camp Pendleton. And my buddies that were in my sniper platoon on deployment that weren't school trained snipers, we all came back to go to sniper school, and they start shooting illumination missions. And dude, we were all underneath their fucking beds, like, fuck, you know, like, not this, like, we were fucking scared. I mean, we lived with that for 7 fucking months, you know, where buildings are shaking, bodies are fucking coming up from the graves from like Jesus era time frames, you know, like it was insane. Dogs eating people, bloated bodies everywhere, dismembered bodies everywhere, bunch of civilian casualties from the insurgent side, you know, sabotaging them and fucking bombing them. It's a lot of stimulation to take in that I just never gave space to process. Because if you give time to think in combat like that, especially how we were living, you lose that edge. And it's the reason why I didn't like wash my camis. I was like super like, there's a reason why I did the things that I did, because I did not want to lose that upper hand that I thought that I had to stay in the game. Because as soon as I relaxed, you're starting fresh again, and I don't know. I wasn't willing to take that chance.